Hello folks, how's it going? Right, I sat through about an hour of C-SPAN and just put together some of the most hilarious parts of that Mark Zuckerberg testimony before the House Financial Services Committee. Some of it was comedy gold. It was just a collection of geriatrics, technophobes, Luddites, fuckwits and conspiracy theorists fucking putting Mark Zuckerberg to the question like the Spanish Inquisition. This somehow made me feel sorry for the fucker. But anyway, strap yourselves in. It's funny.
Look, from a business perspective, the very small percent of our business that is made up of political ads does not come anywhere close to justifying the controversy that this incurs for our company. So this really is not about money. This is, on principle, I believe in giving people a voice. I believe that ads can be an important part of voice. I think especially in the political process for challenger candidates and for local candidates or advocacy groups whose message might not otherwise be covered by the media, having ads can be an important way to inject your message into the political debate.
Let me interrupt you for a minute. Are you telling me, I think as you said to me before, you plan on doing no fact checking on political ads?
I'll get this one for you, Mark. Listen, you dopey old crone. We don't fact-check political ads because who decides what's factual? When you call Donald Trump a fascist Nazi, you think that's factual, don't you? I dare say Ted Cruz disagrees quite strongly. This whole process was fucking painful to watch.
The gentlewoman from Ohio, Mrs. Beatty, who's also the chair for the Subcommittee on Diversity and Inclusion.
The subcommittee for diversity and inclusion. This is going to be fucking great, isn't it?
Thank you, Chairwoman Waters. Mr. Zuckerberg, I want to get through a number of questions. Diverse asset management, fair before with Facebook about the lack of diversity and inclusion. I've discussed this repeatedly with your company over the past years. You have a stable managed by diverse-owned companies, yes or no? Yes or no?
Congresswoman.
Yes or no?
I don't believe.
So I take that as a no.
Look at her fucking going at the cunt. It's like she's talking to a turd with a suit on. Jabbing a finger at him and just say, yes or no, yes or no. Honestly, it really is. I've never liked Mark Zuckerberg, but the way they talk to the guy here, I actually feel sorry for the fucking android-looking bastard. Jesus.
Firms that work on your legal cases around the country. How many diverse-owned or women-owned law firms are contracted by Facebook? Number. Just give me a number or range.
Congresswoman, I don't know.
I take that as I don't know. How many women or minority partners work on these cases?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head.
So did you review the packet? Did you review the...
Right, listen. If someone asked a multi-billionaire, globalist, fucking powerful man like, say, Donald Trump, listen, how many fucking black dudes work for your construction company? Or something along those lines. I'd say he was the racist fucker if he knew the answer to these questions. Like, the fact that this crazy woman is interrogating him like he's the scum of the earth over these ridiculous diversity and inclusion questions genuinely beggars belief, because I would have to say that if he does know all of these facts off the top of his head, then he probably is a bit of a strange racist fucker. Because why does he care? Why is he memorizing all these facts about the gender and colour of the people that is involved with his company? I'm sure I don't even know Mark Zuckerberg's politics. I'm sure he's a pretty left-wing person. Certainly seems like all of the Silicon Valley elites are. But Jesus, I'd be worried about any man who fucking started telling me that he knew the genders and fucking races of all the people that he worked with. Because surely a businessman doesn't really care. As they always say, right, the only colour a businessman cares about is green. And these are really fucking weird questions to be asking someone of Mark Zuckerberg's stature, if you ask me. Fucking hell.
The packet that went out in notification to you and your team about what was included today, and diverse asset management was in it. Did you read that?
Congressman,
There's a piece of legislation that I'm working on that was in the packet. Did you or your team review it? I mean, everybody's talked about your scholarly resume. Did you review the packet that was sent to you from this committee? Obviously, that's a no. So you know who Laura Murphy is because you said her name, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you hired her as a consultant, and in your opening statement, you talked a lot about civil rights. I think we should probably phrase it a little differently, that you work with civil rights work is because it's a result of the number of lawsuits that you've had. NAACP, even Secretary Ben Carson filed a fair housing lawsuit against you for violations. So let me ask you this. Do you know what redlining is?
Yes.
Okay, then you should have known better. And maybe if you had real diversity or inclusion on your team, somebody in that room would have said what you were doing when you looked at what you were doing in the housing, how you were
Yes, because you have to be black or female to understand logic, apparently. Is this a liberal position now? No matter what your politics, or the content of your character, or your IQ, or your empathy, or anything, it's irrelevant. You can't do it. You can't do it if you're a white guy who looks a bit like Data out of fucking Star Trek. It's impossible. You have to be a black woman, preferably a black woman who votes Democrat. I mean, does nobody else think this is a deeply illiberal position to be holding? This fucking nasty headmistress fucking berating the guy over nonsense like this? What's that got to do with the price of eggs?
redlining or using zip codes and to eliminate people from getting information. Now, have you read the report that Laura Murphy sent to you? You've talked a lot about diversity, and you introduced her name about this great study in her work. Have you read it? Do you know what the recommendations were? Do you know when she issued the report? Yes or no?
I've seen the report.
Okay, tell me what the top 3 things were, because I have it right here. What were the top 3 things in her report?
I can't believe he didn't walk out. He could buy and sell everyone in that room 10 times over. And she's talking to him like that. Like, fucking, seriously, I can't believe he took it. It is unbelievable, the brass neck of Joyce fucking Beatty. I'd have just said to her, "Hey love, you can suck my fucking lily white plums. I'm not standing for this shit." Who is she to question him? Name me the top 3 things. He's not on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you fucking dopey cunt.
Somebody talked about lying in this committee. I'm only saying it.
Well, one of them was around housing ads, which we've talked about. The other was around setting up a civil rights task force.
And who's on the Civil Rights Task Force?
Sheryl Sandberg is the person she's
What's civil rights? Okay, we know Cheryl's not really civil rights. So.
Why is he humouring her? Well, just say, who the fuck are you? My mother? Fuck off. Well, what you going to do is keep throwing questions at him until she can trip him up. It's easily done when you're the one asking the questions, isn't it? Fucking hell.
So I'm trying to help you here. She's your COO, and I don't think there's anything, and I know Cheryl well, about civil rights in her background. So come better than that for me, if we're going to talk civil rights.
It's an internal task force.
Do you know who the firm that you employ for civil rights is?
Congressman, I don't know.
How could you not know when you have employed the most historical?
Well, I'm just going to skip her. You see what I'm getting at, right? It's just unbelievable, like, the way they're talking to the guy. You'd think it was a fucking Nuremberg and the fucker worked as a machine gunner on one of the fucking crow's nests at fucking Auschwitz. It's actually unbelievable, the way they talk to him. Moving on.
I've been pleading with you and your team to prohibit hate groups from using the events page, which fuel violence against African Americans, Muslims, Jews, immigrants, and the LGBT community.
Oop, it's Rashida. This is bound to be good. Mr. Zuckerberg, Allahu Akbar. Let's see what she's got to say.
We do not allow hate groups on Facebook. If there's a group that their primary purpose or a large part of what they are doing is spreading hate, we will ban them from the platform overall. So, Mr. Zuckerberg, yes or no, is it still your policy to ban hate groups?
Again, yes or no, one word answers, because we're trying to get you with a gotcha. What's she going to do? Let's guess. I reckon she's going to go yes or no, and he's going to go yes, we do ban hate groups, and they do, which is why Britain First, Tommy fucking Robinson, and several other things that aren't even hate groups get the ban hammer slapped on them as soon as anyone with even a remote inkling of left-leaning political sentiment decides that they're practicing wrong thing. So let's see. I think he's going to say yes, we do, and then she's going to go, aha, I found a group here from one of your 3 billion users that wasn't instantly banned, therefore you're Hitler.
My understanding is yes.
Okay. Face Group's community standard right now, as it reads, it says, quote, we are committed to making Facebook a safe place. Yes. Very good. Expression that threatens people has the potential to intimidate or exclude or silence others isn't going to be allowed on Facebook. I want to refer to a photo up on the monitor right now showing a man holding a rifle outside of a mosque, intimidating fellow Americans.
Whoa, she's whipping out the picture book.
Mr. Zuckerberg, yes or no, does this meet your community standards?
Congresswoman, I'm not sure I'm in a position right now to evaluate any given post against all of the different standards that we have.
So white supremacist hate groups still regularly use the events pages.
I'm not going to bore you with a more of fucking Rashida either. Anyway, the point is, are we living in like 1950 or is it 2019? Like, how many people are in the KKK really in this day and age? It's got to be in the tens of thousands. The real problem we've got here is there's a supply and demand issue, isn't there? The left want to pretend that there's 150 million insane racists in America, when the fact of the matter is the 99% has got no time for it, regardless of party. Most Republicans are not racists, and the reason they aren't is because everyone takes people as individuals in America. The vast majority of people do, and everybody knows it's unfair to label people based on their immutable characteristics. You can't help being black, you can't help being white, you can't help being disabled. So people don't like to see an asshole being a cunt to someone just because of those things. None of us can help them, none of us can choose them. That's why educated people, and 2019's done a pretty good job of, stamping this shit out. That's why educated people have got no time for bigotry based off the colour of your skin. But these fuckers, because they can't win an election unless they boil it down to identity politics, are desperate to convince everyone that there's more xenophobia and hatred and bigotry than there ever has been. And anyone that's ever been for a long walk knows it's not true. If you think America is packed with tens of millions of virulent racists in 2019, you're not living in the real world. Everybody condemns them and nobody likes them. And real racists, like that Richard Spencer twat, that's why the guy's got like 23,000 fucking YouTube followers or something. 23,000, it's like nobody likes these people. They couldn't even sell out a fucking pub if they had an event somewhere. And yet people like this, antagonising everyone and trying to divide everyone with all this hateful identity politics bullshit, are desperate to convince everyone that every street has a Klan rally just waiting to happen. It's total nonsense. Moving on.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Would I be able to run ads targeting political advertisements? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, strap yourselves in, boys. AOC's up. This is going to be fucking brilliant. Let's see if she's as insufferably smug and uninformed as she usually is.
We will take that content down.
So you will, there is some threshold where you will fact check political advertisements. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, Congresswoman, yes, for specific things like that, where there's imminent risk of harm.
Could I run ads targeting Republicans in primaries saying that they voted for the Green New Deal?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Would I be able to run advertisements on Facebook targeting Republicans in primaries saying that they voted for the Green New Deal? I mean, if you're not fact-checking political advertisements, I'm just trying to understand the bounds here. What's fair game?
Congresswoman, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I think
So you don't know if I'll be able to do that?
I think probably.
Yeah, she's still got the smug down. She's fucking great at it. I love the way they just cut him off every time as well. They never let him finish a fucking sentence, do they?
Fact-checking on political advertisements?
Well, Congresswoman, I think lying is bad, and I think if you were to run an ad that had a lie, that would be bad. That's different from it being, in our position, the right thing to do to prevent your constituents or people in an election from seeing that you had lied.
So you won't take down lies, or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
So you would take down lies? Yeah. Well, what you think is a lie, somebody else thinks is true. That's politics. It's not fucking Zuckertwat's job to follow politicians around, deciding whether or not what they're saying is true or not. All you fuckers do is lie. This is it, isn't it? This is politics. I'm not being partisan, by the way. They all lie. Donald Trump fucking lies. He lies his tits off. So does Ted Cruz. I don't fucking like Ted Cruz. They all lie. All politicians do is lie. But guess what? AOC lies. Hillary Clinton fucking lies. Joe Biden lies his fucking ass off. That's all politicians do. If you banned politicians from lying, there would be no politicians. We just have to have a fucking emotionless, soulless android like Mark Zuckerberg running the fucking world. Who are we going to run against him? Unless we clone him and have Zuck versus Zuck. Zuck versus Zuck elections. What you've got to do is what we are doing. You let them all tell lies, and you let the general public and the free press watch it all, read it all, print it all. And everybody makes their mind up. That's what you do. You have a free press, and they can fucking put whatever they like down. So there's more than enough space in the world for the Daily Mail and Breitbart and Fox News. Because look what's at the other side of that coin. The Guardian, The Independent, BBC, Channel fucking 4, which is as hardcore a communist fucking website as I've ever visited, with the fucking alternative Christmas messages from fucking Muqtada al-Sadr and fucking all these Islamic fundamentalists. The world's big enough for all of them. You don't need to censor people. You just let them all talk and let the public make their mind up. Done. What's the point in this? What's the point in this fucking interrogation? Jesus, what are they going to do next? Waterboard the poor bastard.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases, in a democracy,
okay.
I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
so
are
you
saying,
won't take
judge
them
their
down.
character for themselves.
So you won't take. You may flag that it's wrong, but you won't take it down.
Congresswoman, it depends on the context that it shows up. Organic post, ads,
Right.
the treatment is a little bit different.
One more question. In your
Jesus, let the man finish a sentence, you fucking necky bastard.
ongoing dinner parties with far-right figures, some of who advance the conspiracy theory that white supremacy is a hoax, did you discuss so-called social media?
What does that even mean, by the way? White supremacy is a hoax. What does that mean? What is she talking about? What headline or story or fucking idea is that? White supremacy is a hoax. It doesn't even make sense as a sentence. Everyone on planet Earth knows there is such a thing as white supremacy. Don't they? I don't think anyone's denying that it fucking exists as a concept. Fuck me. What is the point? What is the point of these questions?
Bias against conservatives, and do you believe there is a bias?
Congresswoman, so I don't remember everything that was in the question.
That's all right, I'll move on. Can you explain why you've named the Daily Caller, a publication well documented with ties to white supremacists, as an official fact checker for Facebook?
Congresswoman, sure. We actually don't appoint the independent fact checkers. They go through an independent organization called the Independent Fact Checking Network that has a rigorous standard for who they allow to serve as a fact checker.
So you would say that white supremacist-tied publications meet a rigorous standard for fact-checking? Thank you.
Congresswoman, I would say that we're not the one assessing that standard. The International Fact Checking Network is the one who is setting that standard.
Thank you.
Well, she's a fucking lunatic. Let's not bother with her anymore.
Business, Facebook, your company has been doing any business with the hotel?
Congresswoman, I will look into it with my team.
and you'll be able to get us data and information?
My team will follow up with you.
Is there any chance that Facebook actually books blocks of rooms at Trump International Hotel and does not use them?
Congresswoman, I would be very surprised to hear if that were the case.
So would I, Congresswoman. So would I. I would be very surprised if a fucking screaming lefty like fucking Zuckerberg is giving loads of money to Trump for no reason. In fact, let's just call it there. There's no point in going over this shit. The simple fact of the matter is, all of the big names in the Democrat Party now, none of the ones that are perfectly acceptable, moderate, centre-left people, but the real big names, the fucking squad and all those twats that nobody's shut up about for the last 12 months, they are basically the Alex Jones of the left, the conspiracy theorists. They're rude as fuck, and they've all seemed to have decided, because Mark Zuckerberg is merely centre-left, that he's a fucking closet Nazi, and they're allowed to speak to him like shit, and he's secretly funneling money through the Trump organisation. It's fucking ridiculous. They're a bunch of smug, self-important twats, and I'm amazed that fucking Data showed up for that. If I was him, I would just say to them all, fuck you. The time of me cooperating with them would be over. And Zuck, fuck, damn them for making me defend Mark Zuckerberg, but he should just seriously tell them to fuck off. You want to talk to me in future, put it through my lawyer, and I'm going to the beach. Just out of spite, I'd probably send 100 grand to fucking Donald Trump's campaign, because that really was embarrassingly bad. I only skimmed over it for about an hour, because I don't want to sit and fucking watch C-SPAN for 6 hours, but you can see by the tone of that, the way they were talking to him was just fucking scandalous. And yeah, I just think the whole fucking thing was a farce. I think it proved how out of touch all of the fucking dumb shits on Capitol Hill are. And we've just got a collection of activists, fanatics, social justice zealots, really pig-ignorant geriatrics like fucking Maxine Waters, and conspiracy theorists like fucking AOC. That was a damning indictment, but of Capitol Hill, not fucking Mark Zuckerberg. I think that was absolutely shocking. It was like the fucking Nuremberg trials, except none of the people asking the questions had as the brains they were fucking born with. Well done. You've finally made me feel sorry for Mark Zuckertwat.